Hello, this is Eduardo Suarez. Today we're going to look at how to do a backup of the files from your robot controller. The most common way to do a backup of your robot files is using a USB drive that normally you put in the USB port on the touch pendant. Here in RoboGuide, if we go to Tools, we open the folder for the work cell. We go to Robot 1. You're going to find that there is a folder for the USB drive on the touch pendant. And if we open this folder, you're going to see that it's empty because we haven't done any backup yet. Now, if we open the touch pendant, in the real robot, you would put the USB drive on the USB port on the touch pendant. And if you want to do a backup, you go to Menu, Files, Files again. We go to Utilities. We go to Set Device. And we're going to select the USB port on the touch pendant. One thing that we can do, we can create a new directory inside the USB drive. So we're going to select Utilities again, and this time we're going to select Make Directory. And it's going to give you the option to name the new file folder, and we're going to call it Backup. So now we are inside the backup folder, and we are ready to do the backup. So we're going to select Backup, and from the list we are going to select all of above. That means that we're going to do a backup of the system files, the FTP programs, applications, and anything else that is on this list. So we select all of above, and it's going to ask you if you want to delete everything else that is inside the folder for the backup. We select yes, and it's going to proceed to do the backup. Once the backup is ready, we can go back again to the folder for the work cell. We're going to select Robot 1, UT1, and you're going to see that it's in here, the folder created for the backup, and inside we have all the files from the backup. So probably this is the most common way to do a backup, but also it's not the most convenient way to do a backup. There are many reasons for that. One of the reasons that you need a USB drive that you want to go to, you have to go to the touch pendant and place it on the USB port for the touch pendant, then do the backup, and then transfer the files from your laptop. And if you have more than one robot, you have to repeat the same procedure again. Obviously, this is not the most efficient way to do a backup. We're going to see now another way to do a backup, and that is using an FTP connection. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and for that you will need to set up an Ethernet connection in your robot. Most likely you will have your robot already set up with an Ethernet connection to a PLC, other robots, other devices, and even to the plant network. So you have already a way to connect your laptop to the same network and have an Ethernet connection from your laptop to the robot. Before I can show you how to do an FTP connection, we need to set up the Ethernet connection in the robot controller. Here I have a work cell I have created from scratch, and I have already installed the option package, the Ethernet IP scanner, and also the ASCII program loader. So we're gonna open the teach pendant. We're gonna go to menu, setup, and host communication, and we're gonna select TCP/IP. Here you have the option to name the robot, put the IP address for the robot, the subnet mask, and the gateway if you have any connection to the an external network. Also, you have the option to add another devices, like for example the PLC. You can name the PLC and add an Ethernet IP, and then ping the PLC to establish, to make sure the connection works. For now, we are not going to put any IP address here because we are in RoboGuide. But in your real controller, you will put your IP address and set up all these options in here. So we're going to select Tools. We're going to go to Options. We're going to go to Robot, and we're going to select in here, run the virtual robot with a loopback address. And we're going to press Apply. Now, we're going to go back to the TCP/IP, and you're going to see that it's nothing there yet. But if we go to the robot controller, go to Properties, you're going to see that it's a new tab in here that's called Network, and the IP address for the robot has been already selected. We're going to leave this this way, and you also can see that the FTP port is 21. So one more thing that we're going to do, we're going to go to Preview, and we're going to look at the HTTP/IP, and we're going to make sure that the iPendant, Carrel, KCL, and Vision Setup, everything is unlocked. It can show lock, authorization, or unlock. We want to make sure that this one shows unlock. And also you can go in here to FTP, and you can see the setup that all the connections are anonymous. You have a list in here where you can see the clients, and also you can see the servers. We're going to leave everything the way that it is right now. One more thing that we're going to do, we're going to go to Menu. We're going to go to System. We're going to go to Variables. And we're going to be looking for the UE config system variable. UE config is in here. And now we're going to be looking for the read-only. And you're going to see that if we press in here, all the three options for read-only has to be false. So the next step is going to be go to Function, Next, and Cycle Power to make sure that the configuration takes the IP addresses. I'm going to pause the video for now. Now we are back in RoboGuide. We're going to select again, Setup and Host Communication, FTP. And you're going to see that now the RoboGuide has assigned a new IP address that by default is 127.0.0.2. So we have already the Ethernet connection established on the robot side. We are ready to start looking at the FTP connection. One easy way to do an FTP connection is using the command prompt. So we're going to open the command prompt window. We're going to press the Windows key and the R key, and we're going to get the run window. So here we're going to type cmd, and the command prompt is going to pop up. My personal preference is to change the background color. So we're going to select the bar on the top. We're going to go to properties. We're going to change the screen background to white and the screen text to black. And the changes, they're not gonna apply until we close the window and we open that again. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna ping the robot. So we're gonna ping 127.0.0.2 and the robot response. So we have a connection to the robot. Now we're gonna change the directory to the temp file, temp folder, and everything that we're going to do now is going to be on the temp folder. If we type FTP / and the question mark, we're going to get a small help with some of the commands that we can use. You can see here in the notes that the mget and input commands take yes, no, and quit. We're going to see that in a moment. For now, we're going to clear the screen and we're going to type FTP and we're going to add the IP address for the robot. And in this way, we're going to establish a communication with the robot controller. Here is asking for the username. In our case, the username is anonymous. So we just type enter and we are logging in the robot controller. The first instruction that we're going to use is bin, and bin stands for binary. All the files in the robot controller are binary type, so that's the way we're going to transfer to the our laptop using the FTP connection. Now we can type the next instruction that would be get, but before we do that, we're going to open the teach pendant and we're going to create a new TP program. We're going to click on select and we're going to create one very simple TP program. Go home. And we're going to put an instruction there, the position register number 1. And we're going to select the position register number 1, the way that is right now for that position. And we have our go home TP program. So now, if we go back to the command prompt, we can use the instruction get for home TP, and you're going to see that we got the file from the FTP connection. Now, if we're going to get more files than just one, we use the mget instruction, and in this case, we can get all the TP programs. But you're going to see something here that when we try to do that, is asking for each one of the files if we want to get it or not. So we have to reply with yes, and we need to do that for each one of the files. So if we don't want to do that every time that we're retrieving the files, we need to use the prompt instruction. And in this way, it's just going to get all the files without us asking if we want it or not. So at this point, what we can do, we can delete this file and we can get it back using the FTP connection. So we have our file, go home in here. We're going to type the instruction put go home TP, and we got the file back again on the teach pendant. What we're going to do now, we're going to delete all these files, and we're going to use the mget instead of the get instruction to get multiple files. And in this case, we're going to use the asterisk to get all the files. And you can see now that it's retrieving all the files from the robot controller. And when we're finished, we just use the quit instruction to finish the FTP connection. You can see now all the files that we got from the robot controller, and if we compare this one with the backup file, on the backup file from the teach pendant, we got 103 files, and the backup using the FTP connection, we got 180 files. Obviously, we don't want to type all these FTP commands every time we want to do a backup. So now we're going to look at how to create a bat file and transfer all the commands inside the file. We're going to open the temp folder. We're going to right click. We're going to select new, and we're going to select text document. We're going to create a new text document. We're going to open the document, and we're going to save it as, and here we're going to change to all files, and we're going to change the encoding format, and we're going to change the extension from text to bat. And now we have our bat file, and inside we can put all the commands that we want. I'm going to delete these two files for now because I've already created a batch file, and I'm calling backup. So we're going to open this one. We're going to edit, and you're going to see inside all the instructions that I have. The first command is add echo off. That means that it's not going to reply with the echo of all the instructions that we have inside the moment that we run it. Next, I set the date. I'm gonna set the timestamp. I'm gonna create new directories. One directory for the date and one subdirectory for the time. And then we have this instruction set /pin that is asking the user for the robot name, and it's going to assign the name to this variable robot name, and it's going to assign the IP address, and it's going to assign the username. Then it's going to create the variable root that's going to be the directory. It's going to make the directory, and it's going to change the directory to the one that we have created. And the next operation is going to be putting all this information inside a temp file. It's going to be a text file called temp that is going to be the IP address, the username, the instruction for bin, prompt, mget, and quit. There will be this instruction for the FTP connection. Then it's going to launch the FTP connection using the instruction -s colon and then the name of the text file. You can see that from here, when we look at the help file, we have this instruction over here. We can add a file that we want to run. And finally, we want to delete the temp file, and we're going to put an echo done and then a pause to stop the program before it closes. For now, I want to show you the temp command, the temp file. So we're going to comment this one out, and we're going to save it. And now we can run it. So to run it's going to be just a simple double click, and it's going to get the command prompt. It's going to ask for the robot name. We're going to call it robot1. We need to enter the IP address for the robot. It's going to ask for the username. We're just going to press enter, and it's going to start transferring the file from the FTP connection. You want to see the files. We need to go one level up, and here it created the folder with the date. Inside we have the folder for the time, and inside we have the folder for the robot1, and all the files transfer from the robot controller. And now, because we put a pause, it's asking for press a key, and we're going to press a key to finished. The same idea would be if you want to do a restore. Here I have a batch file with a restore. We're going to open that, and we're going to use exactly the same instruction, add echo off. We're going to set the directory, IP address, and username. We're going to change the directory, and then we're going to use the FTP instruction inside the temp file. And in this case, instead of using the mget, we're going to use the input. And then finally, we launch the FTP, and we delete the temp file. I want to show you how the temp file looks like in the case when we run the batch backup. So we're going to go back to the folder, and you're going to find it on the over here, and you can see that it's using the open the IP address for the robot. In this case, I push enter, but it's wrote by name. And then we have the 4 instructions that we have for the FTP connection: the binary, prompt, mget, and quit. Now let's say you have your batch files, you want to give it to some friends to use them, but you don't want them to be able to open and edit the files, so we're going to change this file to an executable file. We're going to use this converter. We are going to open it up, and this is just an editor with an converter. So we're going to open the file, and we're going to, you can edit in here if you want, and we're going to press convert, and it's going to ask for a name, and we're going to just save it. And we can close it, and we have our executable file already created. You got already the idea how to create an FTP connection and how to create a batch file. I'm going to put the batch files in the description below. You can edit them and customize it as you want. But the reality is that there are software packages already available that can create an FTP connection. And the best part of it is that they are free. We're going to open up the web browser, and we're going to type FileZilla download. We're going to click on the link, and we're going to select download FileZilla client. You're going to see here that there is a free version, and we're going to select that and install it. Once it is already installed, we're going to open it up, and it's going to ask for the IP address for the host. We're going to type the IP address for the robot, and we're going to select Quick Connect. You're going to see there is a pop-up window saying this server does not support FTP over TLS, and that's right, because the robot controller only supports binary FTP connections. So we're going to close this window. We're going to select File, and we're going to select Site Manager. On the Site Manager, you have on the left side, you can select a new folder and new site, and you can just customize and arrange the folders for your FTP connection to different robots. In our case, we're going to select new site, and we're going to call it Robot 1. On the right side, we have the General tab. Here, we're going to select FTP. We're going to type again the IP address for the robot for the FTP connection. And on the Advanced tab, we're going to select DOS. We're going to go back to the General tab, and it's going to ask for a user. We just need to type a user, and doesn't matter the user that we select. And we're going to select Connect. It's going to ask if you want to abort previous connection and connect in current tab. We're going to select OK. And you can see now that we have a FTP connection already created with the robot controller. We have all the files on the robot controller, and on the left side we have our a temp file, temp folder, and we just can transfer files if we want by selecting and dragging. We can go from the robot controller to the folder by just simply clicking and dragging, or on the other way from the laptop to the robot controller.